What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Bourbon of the Week. My name's Chris. I'm going to be your host for today, and we have round 3 of our March Madness Bourbon Bracket Single Barrel Edition. In round 1, we had Jack Daniel's Coy Hill take over Heaven's Door. In round 2, we had Blanton's take over Evan Williams. And round 3, we have some Wild Turkey on Wild Turkey action, Kentucky Spirit versus Russell's Reserve. If this is the first video you're catching, make sure you check the other 2 videos out to see how we got here. We have Marissa come down and pour these up blind for us. We have a t-shirt, we have a shopping bag, corresponding with our 2 blacked out Glencairns here. They're blacked out because people complain when you can see the color of the whiskey inside, although for this one, I don't think it's going to matter too much. We're going to sip on both of these. We're going to pick out our favorite. We're going to try and guess which one's which, although I think we're going to have a little bit of trouble with that one today with how similar these 2 bottles are. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's get Marissa down here to pour these up and see who's going to move on to the next round. Cheers, y'all.
Love it. It's a shopping bag. Interesting. These are my stickers, by the way. I got a shopping bag and a t-shirt. Very nice. Think you can see anything. Folded it up real tight. Should be good to go.
All right, here we go. So I was going to take my sweatshirt off again tonight, but I have a Flyer shirt on underneath, and we don't want to talk about them right now. So here we go. Let's talk about these bottles a little bit first. Kentucky Spirit versus Russell's Reserve. I think this one's going to be interesting because of the simple fact that obviously these both come out of Wild Turkey. We'll start over here with Russell's Reserve. This is our 2021 March Madness Bourbon Bracket Single Barrel of the Year champion. This one is distilled in 2011, dumped on 10/8/20. So it was 12/12/11, 10/8/20. Let's do something. I'm terrible with years because when the months get involved, I'm like, is that 7 years or 8 years? Hold on, give me 1 second. Now, do you go from the distilled date to the bottled date or the distilled date to the dump date when you're talking about this? Because that's an extra something, some odd days. Anyway, it doesn't really matter too much. 12/12/11, 10/8/20. That's 11 to 20 is 9 years. This is 8 years. 8 years. 10 months. 8 years, 10 months for this one. That's what we'll go with. 8 years, 10 months over here. If you're interested, this is Warehouse B, Floor 4, a fine wine and good spirits picked. Obviously checked by Eddie Russell, approved by Jimmy Russell. That's what we've got for the Russell's Reserve Single Barrel. Let's get over to the Kentucky Spirit because they tell you on this one too. This bourbon was bottled on 12/03/20 from barrel number 20-0272, stored in Warehouse A on Rick number 22, selected for the bourbon connoisseur. That's me, I suppose. Again, Jimmy Russell, Eddie Russell on this. This one comes in at 101 proof. This one comes in at 110 proof. And this is why I have concerns, okay? Wild Turkey obviously uses the same mash bill across all of their products. It's 75% corn, 13% rye, 12% malted barley. So you start to wonder, what are they actually doing to make these different? Now, obviously, they're single barrels, so they're going to differ slightly. But for this one, this is 101 proof. So we have Wild Turkey 101. It's obviously not a single barrel. Is this just the single barrel version of Wild Turkey 101? Everything points to this being about 8 years old. And Wild Turkey 101 is usually like 6 to 8 years old. So this is interesting just to see how this would compare to like a Wild Turkey 101. Then on the other hand, we have this one over here, same mash bill as well at 110 proof. And then you have something like Wild Turkey Rare Breed, which is usually up in that proof range as well. Actually, we have one. Our Rare Breed comes in at 116.8 proof. So you're talking 116.8 proof on the Rare Breed. You're talking 110 proof here on the Russell's Reserve Single Barrel. It's just interesting how things differ across the line here. And if they really do it all, we're about to find out. We've talked a little bit too much about that to get started. Everybody knows before we do, time for the traditional sip. Cheers, y'all. I mean, either way, it's delicious, right? So Wild Turkey is actually known for putting their whiskey into the barreling process at a much lower proof. I think you're allowed to do it up to what? Like 125 proof is where most distilleries do it at. They put it in at like that 107 to 115 proof range. So when you're talking about barrel proof, 110 proof isn't far off. As you can see, our barrel proof Wild Turkey Rare Breed is 116. So they're not getting up into that 120, 130 range when it comes to their barrel proofs on this. So is this just like a very light barrel proof kind of from them? And again, being the same mash bill, I'm not really sure where all of these bottles fall on a, that would be a great video actually, to get all the Wild Turkey products, try them out and see tier wise where everything falls. We're talking $55 over here. We're talking $60 over here. Again, not much different when it comes to that price point. This first one is just strictly Wild Turkey. That's exactly what it tastes like. I want to taste this second one before I start guessing on proof, but we're only a 9 proof difference here. That's just absolutely fantastic. Wild Turkey is just one of my favorite lines. I think that 75, 13, 12 is exactly what my palate loves when it comes to a mash bill. Gives you all the sweetness you need off that 75% corn, gives you all that rye spice at that 13% rye, and the malted barley gives you enough sweetness, fruitiness, and nuttiness at the end that it's a perfect balance of everything, if you ask me. That is fantastic. Again, this one, it's so hard to tell a difference here. This one feels like it's a little bit sweeter, tastes like it's a little bit sweeter, where this one seems to have a little bit more of a spice to it. Now, I don't know. I want to say that the more sweet one would be over here, but there's nothing that should make it that way. I mean, I guess the aging process and the warehouse and all that kind of stuff. But when you're talking about these bottles, I use Breaking Bourbon. I talk about them all the time as one of my sources to look up a lot of information on these bottles, what other people think. Obviously, they're very good at breaking down like the mash bill, the age statement if it does have one, and everything like that. So they put out a poll basically and put out, I think it was 5 bottles. I think it was the Rare Breed, the 101, the Russell's Reserve Single Barrel, the Kentucky Spirit, and the Russell's Reserve 10-year. And they said, which one is your favorite of these 5 bottles? And only 12% of votes came in on the Kentucky Spirit. And I kind of understand that because it's kind of out on an island, right? If you want 101 proof Wild Turkey, are you going to spend $55 or are you going to spend $25 because you can get Wild Turkey 101? Then if you want a single barrel, are you going to come over here and get Russell's Reserve single barrel, or are you going to get $55, $60 and just spend the extra $5, maybe get a little bit better of a bottle over here? Again, you get the extra proof, 9 proof difference. Is it really a big deal? I'm starting to figure out that it's not. And for an extra $5, I guess you would probably want the 9 proof difference, but that's just me. I'm going to drink this again. I'm literally not going to be able to guess this. There's absolutely no way. I'm going to guess, and that's strictly what this is going to be. I don't know. This is tough. Super tough. Vanilla caramels, the oaks on this, the leathers on this are perfect. I hate a heavy oak. Can't stand it. Everybody tells me age is everything. If you get something too old for me, we talked about it before, Knob Creek 9-year, 12-year, and 15-year. Give me the 12-year all day. It's the Goldilocks of the 3. It's the perfect fit. This right here is just the perfect fit when it comes to my preference. You're getting everything well balanced, well done. There's nothing about this that stands out. There's nothing funky about this. It's literally quintessential Wild Turkey, and I absolutely love it. This one over here is the exact same experience for me, except just a little bit sweeter, a little bit more fruit on there, a little bit more of a toffee note. The caramel stands out just a little bit more over here. You're still getting that vanilla, that caramel, that oak on this is still there. The leather is still there. It's just one of those things where if you give me Wild Turkey, I'm going to love it every day of the week. And I don't understand. If you don't like Wild Turkey, I would love to know what about it is that you don't like, because there's really nothing that I've found in any Wild Turkey product that turns me off to the product. We're going to finish these up. I'm going to guess. We're going to give my guess. I'm going to finish these up because I still don't know which one's my favorite yet. They're both so perfect. It's just the slightest difference. And again, I don't know if I don't know which one's which. I can tell that they're different, but I'm just still up in the air on which one's which. And this is why it's fun, right? I'm glad that this broke down to this. I did want to get a Wild Turkey out early because you don't want it to be Wild Turkey to end it. That wouldn't be any fun. But to get one of these, to get these together eventually and get them in the first round, made this a lot better, if you ask me. I'm literally lost here. I'm lost on which one's which. I'm lost on which one I like better. I'm going to strictly throw it out as a guess. I'm going to say that this is the Russell's Reserve. I'm going to say that this is the Kentucky Spirit. And I have to. I hope this is Kentucky Spirit just because I love being wrong. And then it resets me, right? I love Russell's Reserve. I always think Russell's Reserve deserves to win. That's why they won last year. And it's just one of those things where this is going to be so close that if this is the Kentucky Spirit, I wouldn't even call it an underdog story at this point. I would just say that that's the way it was meant to be. That's what I'm going to do, though. I'm going to give it to, what do we do? This is the shopping bag. We're going to give it to the shopping bag. That's going to be our win for today. Both of these are absolutely fantastic. Again, if you can find either one of these, you're not really going to go wrong with either one. If you like Wild Turkey, pick both of these bottles up. Whenever I see a Russell's Reserve single barrel, I pick it up, especially if it's a store pick, because I love to see which stores are picking what, and if there is if I can differentiate them from another store pick. But let's get into our answer key here and see which one's which. Well, you guys already know. I'm about to find out. Let's see if I'm right or wrong. Drum roll, please, and the answer is the shirt is Wild Turkey. She put Wild Turkey as the shirt. Are you guys looking at this? Wild Turkey is the shirt. that's got to be this one because Russell's is the shopping bag. Russell's is the shopping bag. Wild Turkey's the shirt. Listen, this is one of those things where if you got to try both of these next to each other and it was your first time drinking bourbon, I guarantee you would think that these taste exactly the same. At the end of the day, I thought that they were going to taste exactly the same. The proof on these, you can't really tell. This did drink a little bit hotter to me, which made me think maybe it was the 9 proof difference, but it just strictly comes down to the sweetness on this, mellows out that heat just ever so slightly. And this Russell's Reserve, it's just absolutely fantastic. Again, if you're finding Russell's Reserve single barrels and you're not picking them up, you're doing yourself a what's the word? I don't even know. I was about to say that statement. You're doing yourself a dishonor. It's not a dishonor. You're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing yourself a disservice. Pick one of these bottles up. Kentucky Spirit, again, you can absolutely pick one of these bottles up. I'm glad I got to try this. I probably won't buy one again for the simple fact that I did get to try it. I think Russell's Reserve is a little bit better. I think for the price, I'll just pick up Wild Turkey 101. You're getting a very similar experience. It's a little bit hotter, the 101, if you ask me, and a little bit more harsh. But again, for the $25, $30 difference, I'm not going to be bothered by it. But listen, that's where I'm going to leave you for today. Make sure you check out round 4 coming up this week as well on the 17th, I believe. The 17th, our last and final round before we move on to the semifinals. I appreciate you stopping by. Make sure you click that like. Make sure you click that subscribe button. Come follow me on Instagram at Bourbon of the Week. We're doing great giveaways for this entire March Madness bracket. If you want to help support the channel, check out our Patreon. And if you want to come chat with a bunch of messed that all up. And if you want to come chat with a bunch of like-minded individuals about bourbon, come join our Discord. All of those links in the description below. I appreciate you guys. Please don't drink and drive. Stay healthy, stay happy, and as always, stay drinking. Cheers, y'all. I got nothing left, but here we go. Couple drops.